Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we're going to be going over the first part of the Chunin exams. And I just want to start by saying I loved this arc. It was amazing to read through. It had so many good moments, and there was only one part. Alright, it's only one part that I read through, and it was just so good. It's like the best training type thing that I've read so far, and it hasn't even been the whole bit yet. The fights in Naruto are so easy to follow and read, and everything is just everything seems so smooth in it when I'm reading it, and the characters are amazing that we've met as well. In this arc we meet loads of new characters and some really cool abilities. The first three we meet are Kankuro, Tamari and Gaara, who are very strong. Kankuro completely bodies Naruto without any difficulty, and Gaara was able to sneak up behind Sasuke, which only Kakashi was able to do to him. That just goes to show how strong Gaara is. We also meet Rock Lee and Might Guy, who this arc have pushed themselves up towards my favourite characters in the series so far. The first time we meet Lee, he fights Sasuke, who was using his Sharingan, and Lee was still able to win. Lee moved too fast for Sasuke's body to be able to keep up with Lee's movements. Even though Sasuke could see what Lee was going to do, Sasuke couldn't really just keep up with him. And with Lee being this strong, he even states that he's not even the strongest genin in his little group. And Might Guy is someone who apparently rivals Kakashi. I thought this was crazy because Kakashi was someone who I thought would be the strongest person in the village behind the Hokage kind of thing. But he actually does rival him because Sasuke said that Guy's speed was even faster than Kakashi. And Guy said that they've played 99 games against each other, or fights or whatever they did. And Guy has won 50 of them. So it just goes to show that we just don't know anything about the Naruto world and how strong some of the characters actually are. But this arc has been amazing. The concept of the exams are so good, and the way Kishimoto has written it is amazing. It's the best training type of arc I've ever seen. To become a Chunin, you need to take 3 exams. The first test is a written exam where everyone is given a test that you start off with 10 points to each member of the team. But every answer you get right, then you add another point onto the 10 you already have. But if you get one wrong, then you take away 1 from the 10 points you start with. And when one person goes down to 0 points, the whole team loses. So say Naruto got all of the 10 questions wrong, then Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura will all be taken out of the exam. And if you get caught cheating, the whole 3-man cell loses 2 points. So if Sasuke gets caught cheating and Naruto's got 2 points left, then Naruto loses his 2 points and then they get kicked out anyway. But the whole point about the cheating one is because the exam is too hard for the genins to answer. Only a certain amount of genins would actually be able to answer the questions. So the test is built around how to gather intel without being caught, which I think is an amazing premise that fits into the ninja world, where they will obviously have to get intel without being caught, otherwise really bad things could happen. And so I think it's a very clever test that Kishimoto was able to think out. So during the written exam we get to see loads of characters' cool abilities as they get some of the answers for the test, like Gaara, who can make a sand eye and he uses it to see the answers from other people, or Dosu, who's from the sound village. He uses his hearing to be able to listen to the pencil strokes so he knows what the other person is writing. There are some more obvious ways, like with Kiba, who has his dog sat on his head who's barking the answers to him. You would think that someone would be able to know something dodgy's going on, but no one decided to think that was cheating somehow. I don't understand how Kiba got away with it, but it's fine because he did. With everyone finding ways to cheat without getting caught, Naruto is the only one not being able to figure out what to do. He's so clueless that when Hinata, who sat next to him, asks him if he wants to cheat off her, he thinks it's a trick, so he decides to go the whole test without writing anything down on his piece of paper except his name, which I think is hilarious since he still passes the test. And the only reason why he passed the test was because there was a last question that basically, if you stayed in and then you had the guts to be able to stay in until the end, then you pass and then you get to go on to the next round of the exams. We then move into the Forest of Death, where your squad has to collect 2 scrolls. You get given a random heaven or earth scroll, and then you have to take the other one off the opponent in the forest. So if you have a heaven scroll, you have to take down a team and steal their scroll and hope that it's an earth scroll to be able to pass the exam. You then have to go into the middle of the forest to a massive tower with both of the scrolls that you've collected, and they only have 5 days to do it, where you have to camp out in the forest and you have to make their own food, and there's deadly animals in the forest as well. While this is being explained to us, we meet a very creepy character who can extend their tongue like a snake, and this test is where Gaara stands out and shines, and it shows us how scary he truly is for being the villain of the arc. The first time we see Gaara fight, he kills a whole squad on his own with no difficulty at all. It was just like a complete annihilation. It's not normally something that you see in like a normal shonen type anime. He also completed this part of the exam in record time. He got his other scroll and made it to the middle tower in 97 minutes when they had 5 days to do it. They had 120 hours and they completed it in basically 1.5 hours. That's just over like 1% of the time they had to do it in. And Gaara didn't have a single bit of dirt on him. Now, enough talking about how terrifying Gaara is at this moment. Let's go back to how slow Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke are trying to complete the test. They got attacked by the creepy tongue character at the beginning, who turns out to be someone called Orochimaru. Orochimaru is supposed to be this really strong character. He can summon these massive snakes, which he uses one of them to eat Naruto because he wants to split Naruto and Sasuke up. Orochimaru is just so strong that Sasuke, looking in Orochimaru's eyes, made him freeze up because of the amount of bloodthirst Orochimaru has. This is an amazing way to show how strong a character is because of everything Sasuke went through when facing off against Zabuza, where he could now fight with the amount of bloodthirst Zabuza had. However, this is on a completely different level to that, which then goes to show how strong Orochimaru is compared to even Kakashi, because Kakashi and Zabuza were relatively even in strength. But Sasuke overcomes the fear by stabbing himself in the leg and saves both him and Sakura from being killed by Orochimaru. While this is happening, Naruto breaks out of the massive snake in the only way that he could think of, where he makes hundreds of shadow clones to fill up the snake as much as he can until it explodes, which I think is amazing writing from Kishimoto, the way he stays consistent with how his characters think and how they would get out of certain situations. Naruto gets to Sasuke and Sakura and sees that Sasuke isn't acting like he normally does. He wants to run away from Orochimaru because of how much of a threat he actually is, but Naruto stops him from running away by punching him in the face. This brings him back to his senses, and then right after this, Naruto stops a massive snake. He looks like a little tiny speck compared to this snake, and he stops it with his bare hands. He did have some help from the nine-tailed fox, as his eyes went to like that slit like when he fought Haku. Seeing this, Orochimaru decides to seal Naruto up again using a 5-pronged seal. I don't know what this means for Naruto using the nine-tailed power, but for now, it only knocked him out. This then made Sasuke turn up and start fighting Orochimaru, and it was actually a really good fight. I know that Orochimaru wasn't actually like going all out trying to like fight Sasuke, but we did get to see some good techniques from Sasuke, like when he attached like some string around Orochimaru, tied him up to a tree, and then used the string from his mouth and like directed the fire along the string and then burnt Orochimaru, or we thought was going to burn Orochimaru, but it only burns Orochimaru's face off. And then this is when we get to see that it wasn't actually Orochimaru's face, and that he had killed a genin who was going to participate in the Chunin exam and stole that person's face. So it's just so creepy the way that he killed this, like probably someone that's the same age or maybe a little bit older, like 15 or 16 years old. Orochimaru just killed and stole his face and was able to attach it to his own like body. But just before Orochimaru leaves, he bites Sasuke's neck and leaves a mark on it. While Sakura is looking after Sasuke and Naruto, who are both still passed out, Sakura gets attacked by hidden sound village genin who are a lot stronger than her, and as she's about to get killed by them, my boy Rock Lee comes out of nowhere to save her from the sound genin, and he's actually doing well against the three of them until Dosu, who's the strongest of the sound people, destroys Lee's eardrums so he doesn't have any balance. So with him only being able to use taijutsu, this makes his attacks nowhere near as effective as they normally are. But this is why I love Rock Lee already. He's at a point where normal people would normally have given up fighting because they just can't anymore, but Lee keeps on fighting to protect Sakura, who he's only just met. Sakura also has a decent moment. At first I really didn't like it because she just cut her hair, but as I read on and I came back to reread the part, I actually think it's just a decent moment. It's when she gets beaten up by the sound ninja after Lee gets taken down for good. She's being held by her hair and she cuts it off. At first it just seems a bit weird, but as I think about it, it's like she's getting rid of her past, because she used to be a girl who thinks about boys and how she looks so she can get with Sasuke, but by her cutting her hair shows that she's throwing that part of her away to try and get stronger so she doesn't have to rely on Sasuke and Naruto or anyone else like Rock Lee or anyone all the time, because right now being beaten up like this, she feels useless in herself, and this was just throwing away what she used to be. I hope she stays like this and that she just doesn't go back to fangirling over Sasuke all the time. But after this, Sasuke wakes up and isn't happy that Sakura has been beaten up. and then this mark that Orochimaru put on him has awakened, I guess, which seems to make Sasuke not think about what he's doing, as he instantly either rips off one of the Sound Ninja's arms or just dislocates them. I'm not sure which one he does, but he's just a completely different person now, and I'm not sure if I want him to stay like it, just because I did like the other Sasuke. I don't like him when he's just a savage person who just rips off people's arms because he feels like it. After the fight against the Sound Ninja, they still don't have any of the scrolls because they lost one of them to the fight against Orochimaru because he burnt it. But with time running out, they meet Kabuto, who before they started the exam, he was showing off these like cards that had people's stats on them, basically like he was playing FIFA, and the only reason why he had these was because he's taken the exam 7 times. And for some reason, Kabuto decides to help Sasuke, Naruto and Sakura by telling them a strategy to be able to get 2 scrolls they need. So at this point I was a little suspicious of Kabuto, since he's taken the test 7 times and he's able to get all of this information on people, even though some of them haven't taken the exam before, and he knew how many missions they've been on. And this isn't just people from the Leaf Village, it's also people from the Sand Village. He has information on Gaara and Tamari and Kankuro. And it was weird that he was helping Team 7 pass the exam too, especially since Orochimaru had just put the curse mark on Sasuke. And we do find out at the end that he was working with Orochimaru, and so I did call it before it was said to us, and I felt pretty proud of myself. But Team 7 get the 2 scrolls, and the last one they got was in a very cool battle against these people where Naruto carried the squad with his shadow clones. He was able to transform the shadow clones into Sasuke, Sakura and Kabuto, which I thought was a cool move that he could do now. And I thought that he's come so far since the first chapter where he wasn't even able to like make a clone of himself. Now he can make a shadow clone and turn that shadow clone into a clone. And after getting to the main tower with both the scrolls, they open it up and Iruka pops out of the scroll to congratulate them. Kind of mad that it had to be Iruka to pop out, unless he did it for everyone, you know, he's just popping out for everyone. And then off they go into a hall where everyone seems to be waiting for Team 7 to come in. I do feel bad for Gaara to have finished the test in 97 minutes and then wait 5 days for everyone to complete the test. I wonder if he just stayed in that tower for like the 5 days, or if he was able to leave or something like that. But yeah, I do feel bad for him. But after the exam, we went into the preliminary fights before the finals because there were too many people who completed the exam. And the first fight is Sasuke versus Yoroi. I'm not sure if I said that right. I'm not going to lie to you. I probably didn't. But Yoroi has an ability where he can suck people's chakras away. This is Sasuke's weakness at the moment, since the curse mark goes unstable the less chakra Sasuke has. So this is a very difficult fight for Sasuke, because if he gets touched too many times by this guy, then he loses, because the curse mark will go unstable and then some of the Jonin will have to jump in and then stop the fight for Sasuke and the other person's good. Otherwise he'll probably go and kill the other person. It also means that Sasuke can't use any ninjutsu, so all he can use is taijutsu. Sasuke very luckily got to fight a taijutsu master before the fights, or before the exams even started, when he was using his Sharingan, so he was able to copy Rock Lee's moves, and he was also able to match the speed Rock Lee was using against him too, which I think is very cool. So he completely destroyed Yoroi, or whatever his name is, and moved on to the final test. After this fight, Kakashi takes Sasuke away to seal the curse mark. After sealing it, Kakashi gets approached by Orochimaru, and when Kakashi sees Orochimaru, Kakashi is genuinely scared and thinks he will die if he fights Orochimaru. This is the moment that made me genuinely scared of Orochimaru, because Kakashi had been built up to be this really strong person that seems invincible to me, but that was all crushed in my mind after this scene. Luckily though, because I do love Kakashi, he's like my favourite character in the series so far, Orochimaru didn't fight him, just left. He just gave him a little warning and just left. Now we have fight 2, which is Shino versus Abumi. Abumi was the guy that got his arms broken by Sasuke, so they were only broken, not ripped off completely. This fight was a really cool one for Shino, since we got to see him use his bugs. That are just, it's a really cool ability, man. I don't get how Kishimoto can think of all these really cool abilities, bro. He basically uses these bugs as weapons, and they like go into him and then like eat off his chakra, and he gives them like a house, and so in return they do anything that Shino wants. I really want to see more of Shino, since he has a really cool ability, but Shino does destroy Abumi and moves on to the finals. Next we have Mizumi, I think, versus Kankuro. Kankuro is one of the people from the Sand Village, and Mizumi can dislocate his arms and legs, so he can wrap them around people and crush them. He's very much like a snake, like a boa constrictor. I think that's the ones that like wrap around you and like just destroy you. But that's the best way that I can describe what his ability is. Kankuro wins the match. He was hiding the fact that he's a puppet master, and he was able to get the upper hand on Mizumi, so Kankuro moves on to the finals. The next fight, which wasn't a good fight, was Ino versus Sakura. This fight was very much a backstory fight that then ended in a draw. I thought Ino was very cool in this fight by cutting her hair and connecting the hair together with chakra to trap Sakura, and she uses her mind transfer jutsu on her that I think is a really cool ability as well. But in the end, it was a draw, and I feel like it was a waste of time to read through this fight, especially for it to end in a draw. So Ino and Sakura both just get knocked out of the Chunin exams. After that fight, we have like the shortest fight in anime, which is 10-10 versus Tamari. The fight was over in a few seconds. It was even an off-screen fight where we basically see the fight start and then it goes to Ino and Sakura having a conversation after their fight. That would have only lasted like a couple seconds, and then it goes back to Tamari versus 10-10, and 10-10's just led on Tamari's fan, just broken basically. So Tamari was the winner. But then we have the second best fight of this arc, which is Shikamaru versus Tsuchi. I really love smart characters with amazing strategies in battle, which this fight has. Shikamaru is able to control his own shadow and attach it to other people's shadows so they can't move and he can control them. He uses this in a really cool way where he gets the person he's fighting to close to a wall, throws a kunai at her, and then lets go of her shadow like last second as like the kunai is basically about to hit her, so that the person then dodges out of the way to go backwards and then hits her head against the wall and then knocks her out. And obviously because Shikamaru wasn't close to the wall, he just dodged out of the way and was fine. So my boy Shikamaru moves on to the finals. Then we have Naruto versus Kiba, and this fight does an amazing job of showing Naruto's development. Kiba is this amazing fighter who has great speed and an amazing sense of smell, and he uses that with his fighting style. Like when Kiba threw smoke bombs at the floor so Naruto couldn't see, and he uses his smell to locate where Naruto is. Kiba also fights with a dog. That kinda seems unfair since it's a 2 against 1, but apparently it is just okay. Even when the dog is able to turn into Kiba, he basically clones the dog to make him look like Kiba. But Naruto does use a lot of strategy in this fight, like when Naruto cloned it into Kiba, and then when he got hit he turned into Kiba's dog. This threw Kiba off so much that he ended up actually punching his dog in the face and knocking it out. Naruto finished the fight by farting in Kiba's face, and since Kiba's sense of smell is like hundreds of times better than a human, it basically like knocks him out to the point where he's just not able to fight anymore. I found that ending amazing, but Naruto does move on to the finals. The next fight is Neji versus Hinata. This fight was so good. It had the perseverance of Hinata to keep on fighting even though she was being destroyed by Neji, and the sheer strength of Neji to just destroy Hinata physically and mentally. Hinata did persevere on for a lot longer than she normally would do because she did think about Naruto and she was inspired by Naruto, and Naruto was shouting down to her to cheer her up as well during the fight. The talk of fate and everyone's future is predetermined from the day you were born, especially with Hinata and Neji with their family, because they're both part of like this noble clan that treats the second born of the family horribly. They basically get screwed over for the rest of their life, like Neji, where he has to protect the main branch, which Hinata is part of, for the rest of his life no matter what. So even if she's about to get killed by someone, he has to then step in the way and then get killed for her, or stop the person who's trying to kill her. But the talk about how fate is predetermined and that you can't change it obviously hits Naruto really hard, because he's someone who wants to try and break free of his fate so he can become Hokage. This is a very good fight. I love Hinata and Neji's ability where they can see people's chakra points in the body, and using chakra like a pin, they can hit those chakra points to the point where they can't use chakra anymore. At first it seems like a very close fight, but at the end of the fight we see that Neji was dominating Hinata the whole time, where she wasn't even able to hit Neji once. But the fight ends with Hinata almost dying, but she gets saved by 4 Jonin who stop Neji all at the same time. And then we get into the big fight, Rock Lee versus Gaara, which is my favourite fight of the series so far. We have Gaara who just has his natural ability with his sand that protects him automatically against Rock Lee, who has no talent and just worked his hardest to be at the place he is now. Lee can't even use the normal ninja abilities like ninjutsu or genjutsu, so he worked every minute of every day to get as strong as he could to become an amazing ninja. After an intense battle where Lee couldn't break through Gaara's sand shield, Might Guy tells Lee to take off his weights. He's basically been training like Goku with weights around his ankles and wrists, and when he first takes them off, Kishimoto uses Tamari as the readers because he showed the same reaction I did, not thinking that the amount of weights that he's taken off will make him that much faster. But then Lee drops the weights and it makes a massive crater in the ground where he dropped them. After dropping the weights, Lee's speed increases so much that Gaara can't keep up with his movements anymore, and neither can Gaara's sand that automatically shields him. Lee uses the Hidden Lotus to take Gaara down, where he kicks Gaara up in the air and holds onto him as he's falling, making him spin, and then he jumps off last second so Gaara slams into the floor. But Gaara was able to turn his gourd that he keeps on his back into sand, so he could take most of the impact of the fall into the sand, so Gaara won't die from the impact. And as Lee and Gaara are both laying on the floor, Gaara uses his sand to crush Lee's leg and arm. When he's about to kill Lee, Guy steps in front of him and stops the sand with one swipe of his hand, which just goes to show the strength of a Jonin, because this was a massive battle which Guy was able to stop easily. But Lee gets up into a fighting pose, but when it pans up to his face, he's unconscious. He's only standing up because of his will to fight. We find out that the injuries he received are going to stop him from being a ninja forever. This scene absolutely killed me when I was reading it. It just made me think that he was just trying so hard to become this ninja so that he could show everyone that you don't need this like natural ability to become a ninja and to succeed basically. But then it was just all thrown away in the last seconds when he didn't realize that Gaara's sand was a gourd that he could turn into sand and then obviously block his fall. And the perseverance that Lee shows to stand up even while he's unconscious, just because it's like his natural instincts to do that, it just killed me. And then especially finding out that he can't be a ninja ever again. But after this amazing fight, the preliminaries finish with Choji versus Dosu, which just isn't really a fight. It ends in a couple seconds and there's not really much to talk about it. It just ends in a couple seconds, and then that's the second round of the Chunin exams finished. And the final exam is going to be basically the same, but in a tournament style, where the winner plays the winner of each fight. I don't really need to explain how a tournament works because everyone should know how a tournament works. But they only have 1 month until then, so they can train and think of strategies so they can defeat their opponents, because they know who the first round opponents are going to be. The fights are going to be Neji versus Naruto, which I think is going to be an amazing fight. Gaara versus Sasuke, which I also think is going to be an amazing fight. Kankuro versus Shino. I'm excited for this one because I'm excited to see how Shino's ability works more if we get to see it. Shikamaru versus Dosu, and then Shikamaru versus Tamari, because Shikamaru has to fight twice because of the odd number of people that are in the fight because of the Ino and Sakura fight. And just before the end of this part of the arc, Kabuto tries to kill Sasuke in his hospital room, but Kakashi steps in to save Sasuke. Then all this like Death Note level like strategy comes in, where it was actually a fake Kabuto that tried to kill Sasuke and the real Kabuto was laying on the floor. Then the real Kabuto tried to run away out of the room, but it turns out the person that stopped Kabuto before was a shadow clone of Kakashi, and the real Kakashi was waiting outside. But then that Kabuto that tried to escape wasn't the actual Kabuto, and then he jumped out the window and then got away. Basically, it's just a massive like mind game, blah blah. In preparation for the next fight, Naruto wants to get trained by Kakashi so he can defeat Neji and get revenge for Hinata to prove that you can change your fate. But Kakashi turns him away because he's busy teaching Sasuke. It seems a bit weird because Kakashi is supposed to be his teacher, but he passed Naruto onto Ebisu, who was Konohamaru's teacher, so he is a very skilled shinobi and teacher, but he just isn't as cool as Kakashi. So Naruto is learning how to control his chakra better than when he learned to climb the trees, where now now he's able to walk on water by putting chakra onto the bottom of his feet, but he constantly has to keep on changing the amount of chakra that he puts into his feet while the water moves. During their training at the hot springs, they see someone peeking into the woman's hot spring. It turns out that this person is a legendary ninja from the Leaf Village called Jiraiya, who can summon toads. So Naruto wanted to be taught by Jiraiya because Jiraiya knocked out Ebisu. While Naruto is learning to stand on water, Jiraiya realizes that Naruto's sealing jutsu on his stomach, and he also sees what Orochimaru put on him. This is what was disturbing Naruto's chakra flow, so that's why he was having a hard time controlling his chakra and not being able to stand on water for a long time. So Jiraiya got rid of the seal Orochimaru put on Naruto, so now he can easily just stand on water. Like, it was like an instant impact where he was like, oh, now I can stand on water easily. So Jiraiya starts to teach him how to control the Nine Tails chakra so he can use better moves and obviously use more chakra to like make the moves even like stronger. So Jiraiya teaches Naruto how to summon toads, but Naruto is absolutely shocking at it. He isn't able to summon any toads. He summons like little tadpoles, and then the tadpoles start to like grow legs. Like, he's just so bad at it. He summons like hundreds, I guess. I would guess hundreds because of how like long it took him to learn it. So to speed up the process, Jiraiya puts Naruto in a life or death situation by pushing him off a cliff and hoping he can summon a toad to save him, which I think is a ridiculous way of training someone. You know, you wouldn't see that nowadays. Just someone putting them in a life or death situation to help them train. It's like teaching like my little nephew how to box by putting him up against Mike Tyson. Luckily, Naruto was able to get chakra from the Nine Tails to be able to summon the strongest toad, who is absolutely massive. Like, he's just massive. Naruto then has like a little argument with the toad because the toad doesn't actually think that Naruto summoned him, but Naruto does gain the ability to be able to summon toads by the end of it. He has like a little fight with him, and then the toad realizes that Naruto was able to summon him, and we find out that the only person that was able to summon him at a young age was the fourth Hokage. While Naruto is training, we get lots of things happening with other aspects of the exam, like Orochimaru is working with the Sand Village to destroy the leaf, while Baki, who is one of the like sand people, was discussing with Kabuto on how to like destroy the leaf. Hayate, who is a proctor of the second part of the exam, was listening into the conversation, so he just got instantly ended by Baki, the sand guy. And then we go to Gaara, who kills Dosu, who Shikamaru was supposed to fight in the first round of the exam, because Dosu was trying to kill Gaara so that he could fight against Sasuke, but it just instantly backfired and Gaara killed him. Sasuke is now going to be getting trained by Kakashi, who was climbing a cliff with one arm, which is crazy. Lee's sneaking out of his hospital room to train, even though he's very badly injured. And just before the next round of the exams, while Naruto is in hospital from using like a lot of chakra and having to rest, Gaara breaks into Lee's hospital room to try and kill him because he thinks that he should have died in the fight before, where Guy saved him. And like last time, Naruto and Shikamaru come to save Lee. We find out that Gaara has a monster in him. It also seems like it's similar to Naruto's Nine Tails. Naruto also says that Gaara is very similar to him, the way he grew up in isolation, but Gaara adds a whole other level to it. Gaara's dad, who is the Kazekage, tried to kill Gaara countless times for 6 years since he turned 6. Gaara's dad did do this because Gaara's mind was unstable, so he kills everyone. So this makes Gaara always question, why is he alive? And the reason he came to is that he's alive to kill, and if he doesn't kill, then there's no point in him being alive. Naruto was very similar to Gaara, questioning why he's alive, but before Naruto got to the stage of killing people, he found Iruka, who gave him the love that Gaara never got, with his mum dying while giving birth to him and his dad trying to kill him all the time. The village was even scared of him because of this monster that was put inside of him, was making his mind unstable to the point where he would kill innocent people. Even his siblings were scared of him. This is when Naruto realizes they won't be able to beat Gaara because his strength is in his hatred. But as soon as Gaara is about to kill Naruto, Shikamaru and Lee at the same time, Guy comes in to save the day again. But Gaara doesn't get like punished a little bit of trying to kill Naruto, Shikamaru and Lee outside of like the tournament times. He just walks off casually. But that will end my first part of the Chunin exams. It was a very long part, but lots of things did happen in it. So I think I'm going to finish the Chunin exams, and then I won't go over as many chapters as I did this time. but I am really enjoying Naruto. And in the next episode, I'll be covering chapters 98 to 139. So another long one, but after that, I might cover like half the amount of chapters. I think it just depends on what happens in the arc at the time. But with that said, I just want to apologize for the very poor upload schedule that I've been on right now, and I'm going to be trying to get back into it because I've now found a new job that I'm enjoying, and that is good times as well, because the job that I was working before was I start at 12 and then leave at like 11 o'clock at night, so it's just horrible. But now I'm actually going to be able to get into the swing of things and be able to make more content for you guys, because I love it, and I just want to talk about anime. I love anime. But anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. If you did enjoy the episode, please subscribe to the channel. It will mean so much to me if you did. Like the video, and I will see you in the next video. Hope everyone has a great night, day or night, or wherever you are, and peace.